Good morning. So this video is going to show you or talk about the How Are Pancakes So Fluffy Lab, and just make sure that you have all of the required requirements to get a good grade. So first off, you were to create an experiment to test the effects of mixing of the pancake batter on the fluffiness of pancakes. And there's a couple of resources here. One is this website, The Scientific Secret of Fluffy Pancakes by Scientific American. And the second is your Google template document that you are going to edit and make your own and submit. So this is the Scientific American, The Secret of the Fluffiness of Pancakes is what you're going to use as your starting point for your research of your experiment. And when you get there, it's an activity with a nice introduction, a nice background that kind of gives you an overview of why mixing pancakes too much will make them more dense or less fluffy. Whereas if you mix them less or just combine the ingredients, the pancakes will be very fluffy. So there is a materials list here for you. You don't have to use their material list. This is your experiment. You can make your pancake batter however you want. Um, it does, and you can make your experiment however you want. It does give you some good ideas for the three mixtures of pancakes: mixed until combined lumpy, mixed until just smooth, and then mixed until smooth plus 3 to 5 minutes. And that will give you three categories of pancakes with different amounts of mixing, right? And so it talks to you about the procedure, how you would do that. And I've discussed this before, but basically you want to mix the ingredients for your pancake batter until just combined, right? The egg with the water, with the flour, however you decide to make them, till it's just combined, right? So that there's no just dry stuff or no just wet stuff. It's fully combined. It's going to be lumpy at that point. You're then going to pour 2/3 of that into a new bowl, and that will give you a 1/3 left with just mixed until combined lumpy. And the 2/3 you're going to mix until completely smooth, right? So now we've got more mixing done to the 2/3 batter you have left. You're then going to pour a final third of that into a third bowl, and you're going to mix that third bowl. It's already smooth, so you're going to mix it an extra 3 to 5 minutes. And make sure you don't put 3 to 5 minutes on your procedure. That's for you to decide. Do you want to do 3 minutes? Do you want to do 4 minutes? Do you want to do 5 minutes? You're going to make that decision. You're going to have that third group mix until smooth, plus, I'm going to say in this point, for example, 3 minutes. Now you've got three groups. The first group is mixed until just combined. It's going to be lumpy. You have a second group that's been mixed further. It's now been mixed until it's smooth. And you're going to have a third group which has been mixed the most because it's been mixed till smooth, plus, in my example, plus an extra 3 minutes. Maybe you want to do 5. You're the scientist. You make that decision. Okay? You're then going to, cook your pancakes and keep them the same. Those are consistent variables, right? The amount of time you cook them, the amount of heat you use to cook them, the pan you cook them on, all of those things. And you're going to measure how fluffy they are. How would you do that? I would think by measuring the height, right? You're going to need some kind of a ruler. It's going to need to be metric. And you're going to measure the height. Certainly, you want more than one pancake made from each group. Okay, you don't want to have just one pancake because it might have just cooked funny. A million things could happen. But when you cook a bunch of pancakes for each group, I would try to do 10. If you don't have enough batter for 10, then maybe you get to 7 in each group. Or maybe you get to 5 in each group. If you have much less than that, it's going to be hard to take an average that's accurate. It's going to be hard for you to, prove your hypothesis without enough data. Okay? Take the average of each of those groups, right? If you have one pancake in the first group that's 3 millimeters high and another pancake that's 5 millimeters high, if I were to take the average of that, the average would be 4 millimeters high for that one group. You do the same thing for all of your other groups, and you're then going to graph that, right? I would graph that in a bar graph this time. I know I like to see line graphs. I've talked to you a lot about that. But in this case, I think a bar graph because you're comparing the height of the pancakes for 3 different groups. Now, that's doing the experiment. So let's talk a bit about the write-up of the experiment. Okay, so some things have to be done before you do that part that we just talked about, doing the actual experiment, right? So the first one's the question. What question are you going to identify? Are you going to try to answer? I gave you an example of one that makes a pancake fluffy. If you want to use that, that's great. Make sure that you then delete all of this other information. This is not to be part of your final document. Okay? If you decide pancakes was not your thing and you wanted to change this question to suit your interests and make it about something that involves food, go ahead. You could have done that. Your abstract. This is a brief summary of everything that happened. The question, the research, the hypothesis, the procedure, the results, the conclusion. You need to have at least 2 references here. One of them is going to be your Scientific American. The second one you're going to have to find on your own. Now, you are trying to find another reference that helps back up and support what Scientific American is saying. Something about the gluten protein being the reason that the pancakes are not fluffy if you mix them too much. Okay? Restate your hypothesis. And this abstract really needs to be done fully at the end because you do need to include your conclusion, your results, and your light bulb moment, right? What are you going to do next? So those things all should be in there. Your hypothesis, you're going to state here, even though you're going to talk about it in the abstract, just like you talked about the question also in the abstract. You did state that separately because I want to be able to see them separately and demonstrate to me that you understand exactly what those things are. Your experimental design, this is where you need to figure out what you're going to put in. Okay, maybe you decide to use the exact recipe from the Pancake Fluffiness Lab. So you want to say that procedure for making those pancakes. You want to list those materials and equipment, bowls, batters, things like that. You definitely want to identify your 3 variables. That's down here, right? Your 3 variables. Okay. Controlled variables, there may be more than one. There should be more than one, right? What independent variable, manipulated, what are you changing, right? Your 3 groups, what is different about them? Your dependent or responding variable, what are you measuring? Okay. Your procedure will definitely be more than 2 steps. The numbers are here to show you that they should be numbered steps and not written as a paragraph, not written with just bullets. They should be numbered steps. Okay. I like to see at least 5. You may need more of this experiment. That's up to you, but no less than 5. Going down, your results section, table and a graph. Okay. And then your analysis results. I made as a separate section this time so you don't forget it. Okay. Table and a graph. Your table should have, the 3 groups that you are using, your experimental groups. Your table should list several pancakes for each group, and your table should have an average height of those pancakes for each group. Your graph will then graph the actual average height for each of those 3 groups. And we've gone over several times how to make those graphs in Google Sheets. You can look up old labs through your stream, through your classwork page, and you can find those videos. Conclusion, using the recall method. All right, so you are going to make sure your resources are used here again. You have 2 of them, one from Scientific American, one from another resource that you found on your own. You use the resource by talking about the information that research provides, and then you give credit to them at the end of the sentence. Okay? Let me just go back to the analysis results. This is where you're going to simply state the important things that happen. Note the different heights of the pancakes. Don't give any opinions here, right? If anything out of the ordinary happened and you think it's worth talking about, you might want to talk about it in this analysis. But this should be very brief, I'd imagine, this time. And then we're going to get on to the conclusion. Make sure you use recall, right? You want to restate your question. You then want to explain. You want to explain what you did, why you did it, what your hypothesis was, Then you're going to see call back. You're going to call back your results. What were your significant results? What did they tell you? This is where you want to include that research in there, right? What happened with the height of the pancakes and why? Um, the NY, sorry, that's really part of the analysis, right? So you're analyzing. The callback is what happened. Then A is for analyze. What happened? Why did it happen? That's the good place to put your research in there and talk about that. The first L is any lapses. Did you make any mistakes? Did anything out of the ordinary happen? Did it affect your results in any way? You want to talk about that. And last, your light bulb moment. What would you recommend? What would you do next? What would be your next experiment based on what you found out? So on and so forth. And that's your conclusion. The last section is and again, all of these directions need to be erased. So I would write my conclusion, and then I would take all of this from here and I would erase it. Your references, APA style. The citation generator I gave to you many, many times. Some of you claim to have problems with it, so that's why I didn't provide it again. Find your own way to get your reference done. Okay? Use my resources I've provided in the past. I think they work great. But if that's not working for you, there's plenty of just written references for you to be able to decipher and figure out how to make your APA style for your 2 references. And again, I take all these directions and I erase them. Okay? And that's it. Make sure it's neat. Make sure it's well organized. Make sure all of these bulleted sections have your information. Last time, erase all the directions. Erase all of the directions. Okay? Erase all of the directions throughout the entire template. This is yours. Where it says name, erase that and put your name. Where it says date, erase that and put the date. Make sure things line up. Don't let the date get pushed down and have your heading look different than it looks right now. Actually, that should be back there. Okay. These should be evened up. Okay. Like that. All right. So make sure it looks just like this when you're all done. Okay. Teacher is Mr. Nielsen. Spell my name correctly. If you spell it wrong, you may lose points because it's on the class page. Not that I really care about my name, but that's important because your bosses one day will. Class, put your period there. Okay? And that's it. I hope this was helpful. I'm looking forward to some really great reports, and good luck.